Well, thank you, everybody. We're pleased that everybody has taken some time to join our webinar today. Fraud has a new face, AI, deepfakes, and why scams can be so hard to spot. My name is Brandy Cooper, and I'm the Education and Outreach Manager for the Financial and Consumer Services Commission of New Brunswick. As the province's financial regulator, the Commission's mandate is to provide regulatory services that protect the public interest, enhance public confidence, and promote understanding of our regulated sectors through educational programs. And that's why we're here today. This month, in March, we recognize Fraud Prevention Month, which takes place each year in March. Agencies and organizations across Canada use Fraud Prevention Month as an opportunity to promote tools and resources to help Canadians recognize, avoid, and report fraud. In New Brunswick, we have seen a major uptick in money being lost to scams through the use of artificial intelligence, which you often hear referred to as AI. And the goal of this presentation is to help New Brunswickers learn more about what AI actually is, how scam artists are using it to trick people out of their money, and to provide tools and resources so you can help fight against fraud. At the end of this presentation, I will invite two of my team members to join the call for a question and answer period. Linda and Margot are both members of the enforcement team who investigate potentially fraudulent scams that fall under our regulation, including crypto scams. Before we begin the presentation, I have a few housekeeping notes I want to share with everybody. So one, this webinar is being recorded. A recorded version of this webinar will be available after this presentation on our YouTube channel. The chat feature is not available this afternoon, but as I mentioned, we will have a Q&A at the end of the presentation, and we would love to hear any questions you may have. We would ask that you post any questions in the Q&A feature, and we will try our best to get to all the questions in our allotted time. You'll note that I've shared a disclaimer for this webinar on the screen. Please note that any comments made today are my own and the speaker's views and are not necessarily the views of or made on behalf of the Commission. The material presented today is presented for educational purposes and does not constitute legal advice. So who exactly is the Financial and Consumer Services Commission? And why are we here today to talk about AI-related scams? Well, we are your financial and consumer services regulator. We protect more than 850,000 New Brunswick consumers. We regulate 44,000 industry participants who handle more than 50 billion of New Brunswickers' money. We regulate collection agencies, door-to-door sellers, funeral providers, real estate agents, loan and trust companies, insurance companies, financial planners and investment advisors, payday lenders, credit unions, and more. If you have a credit union account, a mortgage, insurance coverage for your car, or if you're involved in an investment or real estate transaction, you are a consumer of financial services. So at the Commission, we respond to consumer inquiries, consumer complaints. We conduct compliance reviews to make sure that the industries we regulate are following New Brunswick's consumer protection laws. We investigate alleged violation of those laws, and we educate consumers and businesses about their rights and responsibilities. On this last note, one way we want to help protect consumers is to educate them on the warning signs of fraud, specifically around the areas we regulate. The Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre estimates that only 5 to 10% of frauds and scams are ever reported. So, by improving awareness and knowledge of scams happening in our province, we can empower New Brunswickers to fight against fraud and encourage people to report it to authorities so others know about the types of scams happening in our province. So, what's on the agenda today? Well, by the end of today's session, we will touch on what AI is. We'll give some examples of its use in various scams. We'll learn about the term deepfakes, share some red flags to watch for, and how this fraud can impact you as an investor and New Brunswicker, all while focusing on why education, protection, and reporting fraud is so important. So what is artificial intelligence, or AI? Artificial intelligence is a broad term. It refers to technology that can do sophisticated and complex tasks, typically associated with human intelligence and reasoning. You may have heard terms before like machine learning, deep learning, generative AI, natural language processing, neural networks. All of these are facets of AI that enable the technology to meet and surpass humans' ability to produce information, perform tasks, and provide answers in plain language. It's trained on massive amounts of text, which helps it to predict the next logical word in a sentence and mimic human conversation and reasoning. The public may receive hallucinated or fake financial advice that sounds incredibly confident and professional. Because despite being a prediction tool and a mimic, AI speaks very confidently, even if the information is factually incorrect or entirely made up. In addition, it may present biased information. Because the AI's output is reliant on the data it was trained on, if the data is incomplete or biased, this can lead to prejudices and unfair or unrepresentative results in the AI's output. So this is why we should all be really critical of AI responses and carefully evaluate its answers. I feel like I'm always telling my adult children, is what you're telling me an AI overview, or is it information that you've actually researched and found to be true? So even though we're seeing AI in the news a lot lately, it actually isn't new technology. While AI technology is used in self-driving cars, it's also used to change a PDF into a Word document. It has existed for decades in different forms. Let's talk about a few examples of AI. You've likely encountered AI in your everyday life. It's really becoming hard to avoid, but it can also be very useful. If you have Face ID set up on your iPhone, perhaps you've used Amazon's Alexa, Apple Siri, hey Alexa, tell me this latest news blurb, or communicated with a chatbot, you've interacted with AI. Or, like I mentioned earlier, perhaps you've asked a question on Google and received an AI overview in response. There are many different types of AI. Some tools are built to carry out specific actions or commands and cannot learn and apply new skills beyond their design. So, for example, some types of AI can play against you during a game of chess, but can't actually write you a custom grocery list. Other types of AI can create entirely new content based on user prompts. So this type of AI is known as generative AI. And you may be more familiar with this type because it's in the news frequently and it is improving quickly. So generative AI can create new content like text, imagery, video, audio, music. So one example of generative AI is ChatGPT. So AI-related scams. How are scammers using AI in their scams? Well, scams have always existed, but AI has made scammers' jobs easier and made it much harder for us to decipher fact from fiction. So AI technology can be used to deceive someone by imitating a person. Deepfake technology can be used to mimic audio and video of a real person, and it is so convincing it can be difficult to tell that it's not real. AI technology is inexpensive, and it can clone anyone's image or voice in minutes. So fraudsters can use AI to impersonate a company or individual to promote fake products or services. They can generate a convincing looking investment opportunity. They can publish fake reviews that seem like they've come from real people, and they can use voice cloning or deceptive marketing. So fraudsters often take advantage of the hype around new technology to lure people into investing into fake or high-risk investments. So always be cautious about claims that AI can guarantee high returns on investments with little or no risk. This little or no risk is a classic warning sign of fraud. Some unregistered investment platforms have claimed that their use of AI is actually a safeguard against losses or guarantees winning stocks. And some companies have falsely claimed to use AI technology to boost productivity or production, creating larger profits. So be wary of any claims that are saying that, AI can safeguard against losses or provide guaranteed wins. So here are some examples of how AI is being used to scam investors. So we talked a little bit, and it's in the title of this presentation. So it is obviously something that is very prominent. AI deepfake scams. So fraudsters can use AI to create videos that impersonate real people or generate videos of people who don't exist. So this technology can be used to impersonate anyone, even your investment advisor. The technology used to create these videos has improved rapidly in the recent years, so it has become extremely difficult or even impossible to tell whether the person in a video you find online is real. And fraudsters will often use AI to generate videos that impersonate someone well known, like a celebrity or a politician. So these videos will look and sound real. And deepfakes take advantage of the trust victims might have in seeing a familiar face or hearing a familiar voice. So, for example, a victim might see a video online of Elon Musk endorsing an investment opportunity, promising large returns. They will contact the company behind the video, and eventually, after handing over their money, the scammer behind the scheme might stop talking to them. By the time they realize it was a scam, it's too late and their investment is gone. So Elon Musk is just one example, but we used him today because he has been and continues to be one of the most commonly featured individuals in deepfake scams. In New Brunswick, if you're joining us from the province today, you may have seen, or I guess around Canada, you may have seen Prime Minister Mark Carney endorsing a new cryptocurrency. But specifically in New Brunswick, you may have seen our Premier, Susan Holt, endorsing a new provincial investment program. So in this particular scam, it uses the likeness of Premier Holt. And scammers crafted fake news articles that looked like Telegraph Journal web articles, claiming that the Premier was endorsing the new investment program in response to the US tariff hikes. So the article featured a fake transcript of an interview between the Premier and a CBC reporter promoting the platform, as well as doctored photos of the Premier unveiling the new platform. The article falsely claimed that this new investing program was supported by the provincial government and backed by the Bank of Canada's new digital currency. And it also claimed that it allowed Canadians to invest at zero risk. It even included screenshots of falsified bank statements showing fictitious earnings from the platform. So if anyone saw this online, which I did myself, it was very hard to tell that it was a fake news article. You really had to read through and try to recognize some of those warning signs, which is why it's so important to know and understand what some of those warning signs are. So before we move on to the next example, let's see if we can identify real faces versus AI generated faces. So on the screen here, you'll see two faces. Take a look at these photos and see if you can tell whether one of these images is of a real person. So we don't have the chat feature activated, so I'm going to have to give you a spoiler. Neither one of these images is an image of a real person. So recent research that actually came out of Australia shows that people perceived faces of white people created by AI tools as more realistic than actual photos of real people. So researchers believe that AI tools are especially good at producing hyper-realistic faces because they were trained on tens of thousands of images of real people available across the internet. So one thing that is interesting to note at this time, and I'm sure that things will change because AI is rapidly progressing, but in this research, they found that AI tools were not quite as good at replicating or creating hyper-realistic non-white faces. So you're probably thinking, well, if this is all true, how do you know whether an image you see online is real? Well, one way to tell is to search for an image on Google. So you can do what's called a reverse image search. And to do this, you right click on the photo, and there's actually, it will say, you can hit the button that says search with Google Lens. Or you can click the camera icon on Google's search bar and drop the photo into the search bar. This tool may be able to tell you where the image originated from. And it can make clear whether it's an image of a real person, whether that person is who they say they are, and it can lead you to a website or websites where the image originated from. So let's move on to another example of how AI is used to scam people. AI romance scams. Well, scammers can use AI-generated images to create fake dating profiles. Once they start talking to you, they gain your trust, And then they may try to convince you to invest in something like crypto, perhaps a startup company. Romance scams aren't new, but AI technology has made it much more difficult to identify fake dating profiles on legitimate dating apps and websites. And it's made it easier for scammers to convince their victims that they're talking to a real love interest. The images and videos featured on dating profiles might not be of real people. They might be convincing deepfakes generated by AI, or perhaps real faces stolen from other areas of the internet. So they will match with anyone. The scammers behind the photos will spend significant time talking to a person before convincing them to hand over their money, promising large returns. Scammers might avoid live video calls or claim they can't make one. So it's important to pay attention to the inconsistencies in speech or text. Excessive flattery is also a warning sign, and requests for money or gifts, especially if they're saying that it's urgent. So in 2024, a French woman was scammed out of around $1 million after she was duped into thinking she was in an online relationship with the actor Brad Pitt and that he needed money for cancer treatment. So this scammer was so convincing, and he had used deepfake technology to keep her interested and invested. He even sent the woman luxury goods. So the woman only realized that she had been scammed when she saw the tabloid images of the real actor Brad Pitt looking healthy. So these can be extremely convincing and also hard to recognize, especially when you're really involved in a romantic relationship. So another type of AI related scams is AI voice scams. AI technology can be used to clone voices of anyone. So investment advisors, politicians, even your family members. So if you receive a call that appears to look and sound like it's coming from a family member and they're pressuring you to invest, be wary. Every day, people are targeted by voice scams. Let's say it can look like this. A victim receives a call, perhaps from a family member or a friend, and they say they need help. So they claim that they've been arrested and need bail money, or that they're injured and have to pay a medical bill. So after sending money, the victim realizes it was a scam, often when they finally speak to the real person. And it doesn't always have to be sending money. It could be saying, can you go and send some gift cards? I need you to go out and send me some gift cards because I have to pay for this using this certain type of payment. AI developers may also use familiar voices to help users feel comfortable with their products. Actually, actress Scarlett Johansson took legal action after an AI developer released a chatbot voice that sounded nearly identical to her voice. So, how do you protect yourself from this? Well, one of the best ways that you can protect yourself from fake voice scams is by pausing and taking a moment to consider the circumstances of the phone call. Would this person normally call you like this? Do you feel pressured to act quickly? Ask some questions to verify, who that person is. What is their identity? Questions that only the real person could answer. And, we often recommend that people have a code word. So a code word with your family and friends when they call can be something that you implement so that, if you are unsure or feel like you're being pressured or just in a situation that you feel uneasy about, ask for that code word. And if they're able to produce it, then you know that it is somebody that, you're able to trust. So when in doubt, always just hang up. Call the person back using a phone number that you know belongs to them. And remember, if you don't solicit the call and you can't be 100% sure where the information is coming from or where what you share is going, hang up and go to your own sources for answers. So let's talk a little bit about AI crypto investment schemes. AI can be used to create fake crypto trading websites. So these kinds of scams involve the promise of high returns, which you've heard several times through this webinar already. So high returns on investments. So they say that they have potentially proprietary AI system or automated trading bot. Scammers can use AI to generate deepfakes of celebrities endorsing the fake crypto trading platform. That was the example that we saw with Susan Holt. Once the victim invests, the scammer might stop communicating with them. The scammer might then transfer the victim's money overseas, making it very difficult to get it back. Sometimes an investor will check their account on the fake crypto trading platform and see large returns, but these profits are likely fake. So the fraudster might ask the victim to send more money to cover taxes or other fees for the victim to withdraw their profits, which are actually non-existent. So crypto investment schemes have been made much more sophisticated by the use of AI, but the red flags remain the same. And these include high returns on an investment, complicated terminology that's difficult to understand, unlicensed salespeople or unregistered firms, again, unsolicited offers if you were reached out to, or the pressure to buy. So let's talk a little bit more about the signs of an AI-related scam. So there are a few characteristics to watch out for, specifically in AI-related scams. So one would be a public figure promoting an investment opportunity, cryptocurrency, or any other promotion that they would not normally do. Unusual body or lip movements in videos, strange phrasing or inconsistencies in the content. Perhaps you cannot meet with a human in person. There could be unexpected phone calls or messages, especially if the sender conveys a sense of urgency, fear, or panic, and websites that mimic real companies. So this, of course, is not it's not an exhaustive list. As technology rapidly improves, some of these red flags, like unusual lip or body movements in videos, may become obsolete. We used to say, one way to tell if an email was fake was by spelling mistakes. Well, now with the use of AI, there is no longer spelling mistakes in an email, typically in a scam email. So how do you identify a fake website? There's a few ways. So we recommend checking the domain name, so which may closely resemble the genuine site. So there may be slight variations to the URL and browser name. Pay attention to contact information and privacy policies. So legitimate businesses should provide you with a physical address and working phone number in the contact section. So searching for regulator warnings and negative reviews. Scammers will often publish a large number of fake positive reviews, so it's really important to do a Google search on the name and see if there's any regulator warnings from regulators that pop up. And then check to see when the website was created. So this may seem like a little overwhelming, but there are some online resources like the Wayback Machine Internet Archive that can help you do this. So it's important to recognize and understand that scammers are still using many of the same tactics, but that AI has made it tougher to know whether you're dealing with a real person or company. So AI is a new tool for fraud, but it's important to understand how it works so you can protect yourself. And also the warning signs of just investment fraud that stay the same. So, again, high return, no risk, guaranteed. Fraudsters may promise higher than normal returns on an investment. They might say that their risk-free investment is backed by assets of some kind or that it's held in a trust. So all investments come with some level of risk. So we often say if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. So fear of missing out. Scammers are skilled at making it sound like their offer is making others rich while you sit on the sidelines. They might say that the opportunity is only available to a select few people, so you need to act fast. But most legitimate investments are available to anyone with savings to invest. So sometimes the best investment is the one that you don't actually make. There's the trust trap. So we tend to let our guard down around people we know and trust. And sometimes even those people can promote a fraudulent investment without realizing it. Pressure to buy. So high pressure sales tactics can be stressful. A scam artist might say there's no time to ask for advice and that you need to act quickly. So if you ever feel rushed, like you can't change your mind, you can't back out, or you don't fully understand what you're getting into, it's always okay to say no. Also, questions not answered. Fraudsters can bombard you with complex documents and arrangements that might seem legitimate but don't make any sense. They might dismiss your questions. They might potentially use arguments that are inconsistent. They may use things that are full of jargon or overcomplicated. If you don't understand and your questions aren't getting answered, walk away. So we've talked a little bit about AI related scams and just, scams in general and fraud in general. Who's at risk? Well, the answer is anyone. There is no typical victim of fraud. Fraud targets people of all ages and income levels. So if you have money, you're a target. Anyone is vulnerable to fraud, and it can happen to individuals of all ages and demographics. But some individuals may be particularly vulnerable. This could include potentially someone experiencing financial stress, if someone is socially isolated, perhaps they have limited investment knowledge, and older adults. The capacity to recognize and evaluate risk and recognize when someone is being dishonest can decrease as we age, leaving us more vulnerable to fraud. Additionally, as we get older, there is less time to recover from a serious financial loss, especially on a fixed income. But really, anyone who uses the internet or social media is vulnerable to scams and fraud. For scammers, digital platforms can be particularly effective because they allow them to quickly and efficiently reach potential victims. At the Commission, our enforcement team, who you're going to talk to a couple members later on, they spend a majority of their time on investigations involving scams that are targeting investors on social media. So this is Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and messaging platforms like WhatsApp and Telegram. Oh, and there's my anyone slide appearing. So cybercrime is increasing year over year in Canada. So 2024 data from the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre shows Canadians lost 638 million to cybercrimes, a 10% increase in losses compared to 2023. And it's suspected that this number is much, much higher, since it's estimated, as I mentioned before, that only 5 to 10% of victims report to the authorities. So while identity fraud claimed the highest number of victims, investment scams have the highest dollar in loss at $311 million. In New Brunswick alone, we reported losing more than 6.2 million to investment frauds and scams in 2025. That's $6.2 million leaving our province. The easiest way to help protect yourself from AI investment scams is to educate yourself and do your research before investing. So attending this webinar today is a great start, so I applaud everybody here today. Look for warnings from securities regulators and negative reviews. So I said, Google search the name of that company and see if there's a warning from a securities regulator that has been issued. But always remember when you're looking at reviews that these positive reviews can be faked. So ask the question, who are you registered or licensed with? And in what capacity? What does that mean? So AI can make it very hard to know if you're speaking with a real person, as we've said, but confirm that someone is who they say they are. Meeting them in person is one way to do this, but of course, be safe. Learn how to identify the signs of AI and understand the ways in which it can be used. And, one of the most important tools that we have is our gut. So trust your gut. If something feels off, it very well could be. Take 5. This could be 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days. Pause and take your time before making a decision. There's a few other tips, such as being cautious with unexpected calls or messages. So hang up and verify that this person is who they say they are another way. So as we talked about, use a family code word to confirm identity. Don't overshare personal details online. Practice cyber safety with links and downloads. And pause before reacting. Urgency is a scammer's tool. Checking a registration is one very important way of learning whether the person or firm that you're dealing with is legitimate. So in New Brunswick, trading platforms must be registered with the Commission, with ourselves. So securities advisors must be registered with their applicable provincial and territorial regulators. So this can be verified with the Canadian Securities Administrators. So checking registration is a fast and easy thing to do online. In Canada, you can use the National Registration Search tool with the Canadian Securities Administrators, and you have the Are They Registered link on the website here, and we'll be sharing it after this webinar as well. And in New Brunswick, you can visit us at fcmb.ca/checknow. So this is, each province has their financial regulator that will have this information as well, to find out whether or not a platform or person is registered. So fcmb.ca/checknow. When you use this toolkit to check registration, always check that a company's information, like their phone number, matches the one that's listed on the registry, and give it a call just to make sure. So remember that just because an individual or firm is registered, it doesn't mean that the investment is a good fit for you. Individuals offering investment opportunities often have varying experience and skill levels and may charge different fees. So it's important that whoever you're working with understands your goals as an investor. They should be willing to work with you to meet your goals and assess your current situation, your objectives, and understand your risk tolerance and then set up a plan to how you're going to reach your goals. How are you going to get there? So aside from checking registration, it's a good idea to do further research as well. So check the news and search the internet to see if you can find information about a potential investment or anything you might suspect could be a scam. This may uncover details that you might like to investigate further or report to authorities. So what are some tips to help keep your money safe? Well, an important step in protecting your money from financial exploitation is planning ahead and establishing an estate plan. So here are a few helpful tips to keep your money safe, not only from AI investment scams, but also from other scams. So one, keep your financial and personal information in a safe place. If you give away money, record it and note whether it's a loan or a gift. We always say talk about money with your loved ones. Talk about frauds and scams. Talk about the things that are happening, but also talk about your financial plans with your loved ones. That is a very important piece to protecting and understanding how to protect your money and keep your money safe. You can consider naming a power of attorney that you trust. So for this, you can speak to a lawyer. And in New Brunswick, we also have a great resource through PLEIS, so the Public Legal Education and Information Service of New Brunswick. So their website, I have it listed on the screen here, legalinfonb.ca. It provides a lot of resources, free resources related to estate planning and wills and estates. Some other tips include, get your own legal advice before signing any documents. Be very cautious if you open a joint bank account. And ask someone you trust to look over contracts and other papers before you sign them. Another really important thing that is very easy, to do is just stay connected. Stay connected with your family members, your friends, your neighbors, your community. So what happens if you suspect fraud or if you have been a victim of fraud? Well, there are several ways you can report this information to authorities who may be able to help. So your local police department is one option. The Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre is another option, and then the commission. So at the commission, how we help is we assist with the investigation or referral of cases involving investment fraud. So, and then of course, we educate on how to identify red flags for financial fraud and exploitation and how individuals can protect themselves. Stay connected with us. So we encourage you to always visit our website at fcmb.ca and check the license and registration before working with a financial professional. On our website, you can also subscribe to email notifications. And this allows you to receive updates whenever a new consumer or investor fraud alert is posted on our website. So this is a really important step that is very easy to take. You sign up on our website, and then every time we warn of an illegitimate or fake crypto platform or whatever it might be, um, you will get an email notifying you with that information. We also encourage you to visit one area of our website called Finances 50 Plus. So it's finances50plus.fcmb.ca. And this is a site specifically designed for older adults, families, and caregivers. So here you'll find information about estate planning. You can find information around preparing for retirement, financial exploitation, and more. So the website also gives access to an e-learning module called Financial Exploitation of Older Adults, the Invisible Crime of the 21st Century. So if you go to this website, finances50plus.fcmb.ca, right on the homepage, you will see that there's a link that will take you to sign up for that e-learning module. So this is designed to help New Brunswickers develop awareness of the signs and ways to prevent financial exploitation. And it also has ways to learn how to assist somebody who may be a victim. So the course is free and it can be shared within an organization. It can be shared within a peer group or just taken individually. So some of the things that they cover are factors that increase vulnerability. And we talk a little bit more in depth about other specific scams and schemes targeting older New Brunswickers. And then the red flags of financial exploitation and cognitive decline. So on this screen here, we have our contact information. I really hope that this presentation has been informative for you today and has helped you understand AI and how it's being used in scams today. As I mentioned, our best defense against all fraud is education. And we at the Commission really believe that. And that is why we are presenting this webinar today. The more we share knowledge and information, the better equipped we are to protect ourselves and our loved ones from fraud. So on the screen, you'll see a few ways to keep in touch with us. You can connect with us and stay updated on our events, so things that are happening around the community, other areas that presentations where we're hosting throughout New Brunswick, and learn about important alerts and investor warnings, as I mentioned, among other information on our social channels. So we have our Facebook and Instagram. It's fcmb.ca if you're searching for us, and on our website at fcmb.ca. So now we have a good period of time here for some question and answer. So I'm going to invite my colleagues, Linda and Margot, from our enforcement team to join me in answering any questions that we might have. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen here. Hello, Margot. Hi, Linda. Thank you for joining us today. So we have a few questions that have been asked, so I'm just going to, and I'll let you and Margot, I'll let you and Linda decide who wants to answer these. But one of them, will a copy of the presentation be available to participants? Yes, absolutely. We have somebody answering that in the background, so thanks you very much. And we have one question that is what to do about ID theft. So is that something that you guys can answer?
I can take a little snap at that one.
All right.
What we always encourage is that any government issued type of identification that you believe has been compromised, that you actually contact the government and let them know. Sometimes they'll replace it, sometimes they'll put a flag on it. Best thing, of course, is if somebody is asking you for, a picture of your driver's license or a picture of your hydro bill or anything that has any of your identification or anything that can identify you, is to refrain from doing that. It is a huge red flag. If it's somebody you're not sure if they're reputable, don't share that information.
Thank you, Linda. We also had an attendant ask about the term shallow fake. So they said they've heard the term shallow fake. What's the difference between that and a deep fake? Margot, can
So
you answer that? Oh, go
you
ahead,
want to do that
Linda.
one? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter, either or.
Go ahead, Linda.
The deep fake is when it's been digitally enhanced or changed or manipulated in some way. And the shallow fake is when it's done the old-fashioned way with splicing, and it's a little more clunky. It's a little bit easier to identify.
Thank you. So another question, what should I do if I get an email or message that looks real but asks me for my information or money?
I can take that one. That one, if any time anyone ever gets anything that's unexpected, you take a pause, see where it's coming from. If make sure you understand if it's coming from your financial institution. There's also ways to double check, to reach out back to them. Often there is spoofing in terms of when you get a phone call, it'll say it's from a bank, but it may actually be a spoof number. Banks typically don't call you. So a good idea is to hang up and call the bank back directly, and then you know you're getting into your own bank. If it's family, same thing. You don't know if someone has been able to spoof their voice. It's always a good idea to pause. It's unfortunate that we have to be in this particular situation where a lot of people have to kind of think about the extra caution we have to exercise every day. But it is, something if you bake into your routine, something seems really out of the ordinary, unfamiliar, or very sudden. Those are big red flags. And just to make sure that you double check everything. Again, I know Brandy mentioned a code word for family or trusted people. That's a very helpful tool. If you ever feel like there's something off, you trust your gut, your spidey senses, to always make sure that you double check just for that security and peace of mind.
Mm.
Thank you, Margot. So we had another question. Are video calls also risky, or can I trust what I see on the screen?
Um, I
Go
don't
ahead.
know. A couple years ago, I would have said that it likely would be probably okay. Unfortunately, technology is getting such that it's not always as safe as we like to think it is. There is now technology, which I've seen firsthand, where you can put a filter right over somebody. You will look exactly like another person, sound exactly like another person. So you don't know who's actually behind that screen on the other side. Um, Unless, of course, you have that trusted relationship, you have those trusted links with your banker or your lawyer, for example. If you have those particular safely trusted manners and mechanisms in which to get in touch with people, that's great. But if it's a new relationship or if someone's reaching out to you, I would always exercise a little bit of caution and make sure that you double check everything because technology is advancing so rapidly that it's clear now that they can spoof voices, images, phone numbers. Be very, very careful.
Yes, thank you, Margot. It used to be that we'd say, if you see somebody in person or see somebody live, then, that must mean that that person exists. But like you said, things are so rapidly changing. We also had a question that whoever wants to answer this, what is scareware?
Scareware. I'll be honest, I don't think I've heard of that particular one.
Must be new.
Yeah. I'd have
Um,
to do a little bit of research on that one. Scareware. Thank you for whoever asked the question. That might just tip us off into something, a new red flag that we have to look into.
yeah,
Scareware. I'm just writing that down. Thank you.
yeah,
Sorry I can't answer,
yeah. That's a
but
new
we'll
one
look
for
into it.
definitely.
Well, let's skip to the next question. Now we have 506 numbers that are a scam. So how is it best, how best to answer the phone so it is not cloned?
Hmm.
Um, I would be very cautious of giving anybody any information when they call you. One of the best things, especially since you do have scams coming from 506 numbers, you also have spoofing in which you will get a phone call that says Royal Bank of Canada, and it's not actually the Royal Bank. It's spoofed from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Is to always call that institution back directly. Just say, thank you. I'm going to go gather my papers. I will contact my organization myself and then
Yeah.
call your bank directly, whether if you deal with Royal Bank. And then you know for sure you're actually getting into that real institution. It'll give you a moment to pause as well, and really think that, does this make sense? Why would they be contacting me right now? I know FCMB has done the campaign of permission to pause. It's a really good time to highlight that again, is that real institutions and real regulators always give you that time to double check your facts, always give you time to talk to a trusted individual or your own legal counsel. It's usually the scammers that are pushing it very, very hard, and very immediate. So make sure you take a moment, and if it's a legitimate institution, they will give you that moment to call them back.
Mm-hmm. Good answer. Good answer. So, another question is, how do I know if an online investment opportunity is legitimate?
Check for
Uh,
registration.
yes,
Check to see
always.
that the company is legit.
Mhm.
Uh, there's lots of little things you can look at, like if they're kind of directing you to a website. The websites now look very, very sophisticated. They
They
look
do.
very real. So
Mhm.
you want to I would go to the fcmb.ca and I would check to make sure that the company is registered. If it's a crypto, again, we do have some legitimate crypto platforms that are registered. They're listed on our website. That would be my go-to right there. Don't blindly register for something or log in to go to a dashboard and start transferring money. This is a time to pause. Feeling pressure, pause. Being, told, oh, if you don't do this right now, you're going to lose all this money or whatever. Big red flag. Just step away. If you think your investment advisor from your bank would say that, um, you know, likely not. Uh, Again, trust the gut and step back.
Mm,
Yes.
yes.
Google as well.
Google
Um,
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times people put up, whether it's in our jurisdiction or across the world, regulators everywhere are now putting out the warnings immediately.
Yes.
This is the scam we've been noticing, and they'll have it right on their website, their list of caution.
Yeah.
If someone's on a caution list, be very, very wary. It likely means that things cannot be traced. And
Right.
again, it's just a caution. There are sometimes that they can write to the regulators and possibly we can reverse things, but we need to make sure of it first.
Yeah.
We definitely.
They could be registered in their home country, but it's a buyer beware. If you decide, you to do anything that is not registered here in Canada, it's very much at your own risk. You no longer have any protections. We can't help you if things go awry, which is why we strongly suggest people stick with registered companies that are registered here in Canada so that we have some teeth, if you want to, for lack of a better word, to assist you if you come across anything that's a little bit iffy.
Mhm. Thank you. And we did have also, we had somebody ask, can they clone our voice?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, absolutely. And this is very important, for, I know, the grandparent scam that was going around. I think if you have a grandchild, they likely have at least 10 seconds of voice online, and that's all it takes is 10 seconds of someone's voice to be able to clone it and spoof it moving forward. So if your grandchild does TikToks or has a YouTube channel or anything of that nature, their voice can be very easily spoofed, and they can call you. It will sound exactly like your family member in a distressed situation, which is another reason why having a family word is such an important tool. It would throw the scammers right off, and if it's a legitimate person, they wouldn't hesitate to say that private word. So it's again a very, very good tool. And yes, additionally, the voices, phone numbers, everything can be spoofed currently in 2026. I attended a session recently about how our scams have now become almost mirrors to real things. It looks exactly like it would if it was real. So we have to
Mhm.
Yeah.
be very, very mindful.
Yeah.
We had a great question here too, which I think Linda, you might want to speak to. Can you speak about recovery scams?
That's part two of a lot of the initial crypto scams. So let's say you've been the victim of a cryptocurrency scam and you've decided or you've figured out that, okay, this is not good and you've tried to step away. Now your information is out there. Your email, if you provided it, your phone number, you're more than likely within days, weeks, sometimes it's even as long as 6 months to a year later, you will get a phone call or an email out of the blue. And one of the red flags I always tell people is they seem to know an awful lot about your loss, how much you've lost, even maybe what website. They've miraculously found your wallet on the blockchain and they say, I can get that for you. Sometimes they, want upfront fees, sometimes they don't, but they're very, very convincing that they found it and they can recover it. A lot of these websites have actually popped up, I'd say, in the last 6 months in Canada. There is one that's purportedly in Fredericton. They're not real. Again, the websites look fantastic. But for example, the one in Fredericton is at the mall. Um, Very unlikely that they're situated at the mall in Fredericton. Uh, there is, at this point, to my knowledge, I could be wrong, but to my knowledge, there is no legitimate recovery agency registered in Canada that can actually get your money off the blockchain. It's just another tactic to get your money and get more money from you. There's always a fee somewhere. Now, I've had people say, oh, but they haven't asked for any fees. They will eventually, because that's their main purpose, to get more money out of you.
Hmm. Which it'd be interesting to see how much of those investment fraud dollar losses that are reported are recovery scams. So we had a great question. Can you please repeat the places where to report a scam? So Margot or Linda, can you talk a little bit about like where can people report a scam and particularly the role that the commission plays in reporting?
Do you want that one, Marco, or shall I?
Go ahead.
Okay, well, you can start with the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center. They are an arm of the RCMP. You can also report to local police. Local police sometimes will reach out to us. We will do the research on the website, determine whether or not they're registered and all that fun stuff. Unfortunately, here at the commission, we cannot get your money back. The best we can kind of do is, again, we focus on educating people on what the red flags are and to stay away from it. uh, uh, I think that's about it. I mean, sometimes the police call us, we help. Sometimes they just take the numbers down. But again, I haven't heard of very many successfully getting their money back, less than 1%.
Mhm.
Personally,
But such an important thing to do is to
It is
report it.
very
it
If you
is.
haven't
important.
lost money, right? If you have lost money, or if you've heard about something
Attempts.
circulating, just to, yeah, provide that tip and to reach out and be proactive in reporting it because that's the only way that we help
Hmm.
protect our fellow New Brunswickers and fellow Canadians and in being aware of these things that
Yeah.
are happening.
Education is key.
Yeah,
It is.
absolutely.
And to
Yeah.
prevent, I'd also like to say that it is extremely important because just the volume has shown the federal government how huge of an issue this is. And I know in the last budget, the Liberal government has passed a new agency, a federal agency that will be focused strictly on financial crypto crime. Um, which will work with the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center. So hopefully that agency, as it gets up and going, which I believe it's in its development phase, will be able to have more teeth, go after these individuals, work more collaboratively with other jurisdictions like the United States and Europe, and hopefully be able to really have some recovery, as right now we really are limited in what we can get back, which is almost always never. So, but it is important because showing the huge scope of this issue is allowing us to put the right resources in the right places and hopefully be able to do to have more success in the future.
Absolutely. And in all the areas that we regulate, it is
Mm-hmm.
not just in
Absolutely.
securities. We've talked a lot about investment scams
Mm-hmm.
today, and that is where we're seeing a lot of AI related scams is in the investment world. But in all of the areas that we regulate, if there is a scam or something happening, New Brunswickers can definitely report it to the commission. I do have thank you to our attendant who sent the definition for scareware. So, scareware is a form of malicious software and social engineering scam that uses fear to manipulate users into paying for soft security software. Or, sorry, it's for fake
Good to
security
know.
software. So,
Thank
they
you.
can download malware, reveal personal data. So, if you've ever seen this, fake pop-up warning that you must download, the latest
There you
known
go.
antivirus or whatever it might be, or that your device is infected or has a virus or it's compromised, that could be potentially scareware. So always make sure that, talk with an IT professional and go make sure that the technology that you're using is protected and has antivirus on it. So I think that, let's see here if we have any other questions. These are great questions and really appreciate talking about these. Oh, another great question. Can you talk about crypto ATMs? Do we have those in New Brunswick and what are they and what are they?
We do have them. I've not personally used them. I know that a lot of the scammers will direct you to them to deposit or with, and to transfer monies because it's not traceable. Um, Margot, feel free to because I haven't used it. We know that
I,
somebody who used a local one here in a scam. But
um,
again, I will talk that I've not seen it or
sure.
used it.
I have seen very few of them around. FCMB is located in the St. John region. There are a few here or there. They are unregulated. Throughout Canada, we don't really know where they are. No one's really watching over them. We don't know the fees in which they'll be charged by the people that are putting them in their stores. It's a very new area. I would caution you severely if someone indicates that you go there and put money into it so that you can access the blockchain, much like the gift card scam of 10 years ago, when they're telling you to go somewhere and change your money into certain things. I would be very wary of it.
Yeah.
Not that crypto is a fraud. And there is some very legitimate, crypto can be a very legitimate trading platform and usage, and a lot of people have it legally and ethically. But be very, very mindful if it's a technology you're not familiar with. Um, Ask a friend or a relative that maybe can help explain it a bit more. Just be very wary of any technology or advancement that you're not familiar with in general. But yeah, we have them
Absolutely.
here.
We
We do
hear
have them.
throughout,
Yeah.
some of our travelings throughout the province. We know that there's several ATMs around the province that are crypto ATMs and they don't always look like crypto ATMs too. They are now appearing on other types of ATMs as well. But always be mindful, like you said, Margot, about, different ways of paying for services, crypto, gift cards, like just if it's an unusual method of payment, then, really take that moment to pause and reflect, ask questions, and, just take five, 5 minutes, 5 seconds, 5 days, whatever you need to make sure that what you're being asked is legitimate. Perfect. So I think that is all of the questions that we have today. Do we do have one, I guess, as well, sorry, that came in that I missed. What about saying yes in a phone call from someone and it turns out to be a scammer using it for fraud? And then we had another one asking about answering the phone. So can you talk a little bit? Do you have some tips or anything for anybody on answering the phone, especially with the voice cloning?
Yeah, the can you hear me? And you say yes. A lot of the times, and it's hard because I almost got caught myself. And my son-in-law did this in my presence. He got a phone call, random phone call, didn't know what it was. He put it on a speaker. He answered. They said, can you hear me? And he said, I can hear you. Can you hear me? And they hung up. Um, which I thought was very, very good to kind of ask the question back to the person. Our instinct, of course, is to say yes. Um, I don't know. I mean, we have phones, we answer our phones. I don't know how we can stop people from cloning. I pause. and wait 3 seconds sometimes when I don't recognize the phone number that's calling me. I turn, obviously I answer the phone, but I don't say hello right away. I wait for them to answer or to initiate the call.
Mhm.
Do you have
Just
any
changing
other
a little bit
tips?
about the way that we interact on through all of our mediums, isn't it? The way that we communicate. So,
Yeah.
well, I recognize that it's 3 o'clock. We've spent the full hour. Thank you so much to everybody who participated in this webinar today. It was so wonderful to have you be online with us today and to be able to answer some of your questions. And again, we applaud you for being part of this webinar and learning more about how AI and deepfakes are being used in scams today. So, always for more information, check us out at fcmb.ca, and thank you very much. Have a great day.